It's a Game of Thrones that knew nothing, not Jon Snow. Jon Snow's character in the Game of Thrones TV series was oversimplified and inaccurately portrayed compared to the complex character in the books. In the books, Jon Snow is a relatable, flawed character who matures and learns from his mistakes, while the TV show depicted him as a bland physical fighter. The show failed to explore Jon Snow's internal struggles and his importance to the larger narrative, resulting in wasted potential and disappointing character development. Hello everyone, if you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notifications bell, so you don't miss any new updates on your favorite TV series. Oh, Jon Snow. Watcher of the Wall, progenitor of memes, powder of face. Kit Harington shot to fame as the recalcitrant bastard son of Ned Stark with a destined heritage more significant than anyone except internet message boards could have imagined, and Harington gave the Game of Thrones role his considerable talents. Millions were captivated by Jon's persistence, temper, pretty boy angst, and courage on the battlefield. Despite being a self-proclaimed "the books were better" snob, this writer doesn't begrudge non-readers who found themselves drawn into Jon's orbit. He's firmly ensconced within my top 5 favorite characters from George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire universe. He's a very internalized character. No television show or feature film can replicate a book character's written perspective and mental insights. That, however, is when adaptations are called upon to solve the problem creatively. Game of Thrones didn't bother, and in so doing lost their way with a flagship character. George R.R. Martin's Jon Snow vs. Jon show is a volcanic landslide of embarrassment. Now, how is Jon Snow different in the Game of Thrones books? Initially, there's little difference between the Jon Snow of the A Song of Ice and Fire novels and HBO's Jon show. Game of Thrones Season 1 stayed impressively faithful to the first book aside from some randomly mystifying and misguided choices. However, the longer Game of Thrones endured and the more its popularity grew, the farther the series strayed off script. There were signs of impending disaster before Benioff and Weiss ran out of Martin's pre-written material. Within this hot mess, the characters suffered the worst damage. For all of Harington's charisma and triumphant moments, the actors given little to work with that doesn't misrepresent Jon into a spoiled brat or a perpetually morose grown man with stagnant character growth. Certainly, Book Jon has his fair share of personality hiccups. That's the point. The social ostracization he faces as a bastard child carves a weighty chip into his shoulder. Jon is 14 years old when Game of Thrones begins, and he acts like a kid. He's by turns scornful, aloof, sullen, navel-gazing, foolishly stubborn, a purposeful jerk, and sassy. Yes, Jon Snow can joke. His quickly inflamed temper activates whenever his fragile pride is hurt, which is often. True to a teenager, he has horrid communication skills, a threefold problem stemming from his reserved nature, immaturity, and the ego he overindulges. His poor leadership gets him assassinated by his once loyal men at the end of Book 5, A Dance with Dragons. But his Night's Watch brothers are remorseful as they murder their beloved and admired Lord Commander. Despite his inscrutable glowers and haughty isolation, Jon realizes his mistakes early on during his tenure with the Night's Watch. He becomes a mentor, teacher, and friend to his brothers, slowly and steadily maturing past that chip on his shoulder thanks to worldly experience. Part of what makes Jon so beloved is the relatability of his desires. He's looking for purpose, identity, and a place to call home. In his heart of hearts, Jon Snow wants to be a good person. He also wants to be found worthwhile. He spent most of his childhood fantasizing about becoming an epic hero because that comes with praise. He even wanted to inherit Winterfell for a time despite his love for his siblings. George R.R. Martin said in a 2017 interview with Medusa, "The character I'd want to be? Well, who wouldn't want to be Jon Snow, the brooding, ironic, romantic hero whom all the girls love?" Jon Snow isn't great character, but he isn't the hero. After 14 years of being an outsider, his last name an inescapable brand of damnation, Jon joining the Night's Watch challenges his self-image. His arc is a journey of self-discovery, aiming to do the right thing and messing up frequently despite his best intentions. Who can't relate to that? Contrary to popular opinion post-Game of Thrones Seasons 7 and 8, Jon Snow isn't boring in the slightest. There's an undeniable charisma nestled within Martin's writing. Because Jon's been confined to the shadows, he's quietly intelligent, keenly observant, and demonstrates intuitive strategic intelligence. He wins the respect and loyalty of his brothers because he cares for his men. He has no special talents besides warging, and no cute dragons to raise. He struggles with his torn loyalties between the Night's Watch and his siblings, a conflict that results in his death. This is no King Arthur archetype common to the fantasy genre. Martin lives to subvert tropes, and Jon's whetstone-sharp mind being his strength, not his sword, is intentional literary irony. These unique choices make for a more fascinating, refreshing, and ever-evolving character. As Maester Aemon said, "Kill the boy and let the man be born." Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and drop comments. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything.